You are listening to the Cattle Call podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of Zentech Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The Cattle Call Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cattle Call Podcast with Jim and Rocco from Zentech Consultants. I am Jim, your happy and helpful host, and with me, as always, is my partner,
Rocco. And who says you're helpful?
Oh, I'm helpful enough to say that your microphone really sounds terrible today. We're going to have to get you a new one. But I am helpful in that I make you laugh. And you know how I do that, folks? By making him suffer through the engineering joke of the week. All right, you ready, Rocco, with your bad microphone?
I'm ready.
Okay. What do you call an engineer who is great at making friends?
What do you call him?
That's a networking engineer. Huh? Yeah. Getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
Ouch. Yeah, that one hurt. I think we just lost our guest for today. All right, guys. So we have a new guest on the show today, and I want to introduce all of our listeners to Rob Herrington, who is the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships and Market Development at TopBuilder Solutions. So, Rob, thank you so much for being on the show with us today, sir.
Thank you. It's exciting to be here. I'm actually looking forward to this today.
Oh, sure. That's because you haven't been on before. Next time, it'll be much less exciting.
Maybe you'll tell two jokes next time.
Oh, no, I would not put anybody through two jokes. That's cruel and unusual punishment. All right. So, we asked Rob to be on the podcast today because we're going to delve into the concepts of controlling and understanding construction data, right, via business intelligence. And TopBuilder has an amazing new product called Contractor BI. That's all like one word, right? And that really, it makes the concept of construction-based data and business analytics available to everybody. Your Contractor BI it's such an impressive setup that Rob really did not have to do much talking to kind of get Rocco and I on board as TopBuilder strategic partners. Right? It's easy to be a strategic partnership guy when it's that easy to make strategic partners. We took one look at Contractor BI, and it aligns so well with the areas that we are heavily focused on here at Zentech that we just kind of jumped right in. All right. But I tell you what, before we get into the details about Contractor BI and the business intelligence and all that stuff, let's give Rob a chance to introduce himself. So, Rob, what should folks know about your background and how you got involved with TopBuilder and what it is you do over there?
Oh, awesome. So, yeah, and by the way, thank you again for having me on. This is absolutely a pleasure. So what's pertinent to the conversation, I've been in construction for over 25 years, actually more than that for sure, on both the commercial and the industrial side. And I actually got my start as a field technician for a geotechnical engineering firm that had a construction material testing division. So like most people in the construction industry, my boots and hands got dirty well before I ever came into an office. So days and yes, absolutely. So all the days and nights, 2 a.m. concrete pours, 2 p.m. in the middle of the Houston summer. That's what it felt like, right? So, and over time, I ended up working for some GCs, some specialty contractors, another engineering firm, and then I actually worked at an architectural firm as well. And the cool thing is in most of those companies, I won't say all, but in most of those companies, I had some really good bosses and coworkers. Mainly, what made it good is they chose to mentor me. Here I am, a 22-year-old guy, couldn't pay my way through college, so I had to go do something and learn to do something that could make money. And they took their time to mentor me, and they taught me about proven methods of success for not just for construction, but for life. And one of the key takeaways, they were always like, yeah, this always works, except when it doesn't. But your big thing you got to worry about is always improve. And so I've carried that all the way through my career so far, and I hope to keep carrying it for a lot longer. But anyway, having worked in these various types of companies in this construction space, I was able to see the construction process from those various perspectives. And so it kind of makes me look at construction. I'm not siloed, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So for the past 15 years, I got into the technology side of the construction industry, which is what ultimately led me here to TopBuilder. So I met our founder, Dave Knowles, and the passion that he has, and by extension for TopBuilder, that it has to help companies in all aspects of construction to grow and be successful. That made it an easy decision to join TopBuilder. His mission is really good. It's simple: make customers successful. So as far as what I do here, I have two main roles. The first is to work with our partners, of which obviously Zentech, you guys are at the top.
There you go.
And so we help construction companies gain their highest success. And my second role, it's really, I'm just an evangelist. I'm kind of in sales, but I do a lot more than that. But I help the companies in the construction industry kind of discover the technology that can aid them to increase their market share and their revenue growth.
There you go. That's a nice summary. And I will agree. I think at some point, I think in on a future podcast, we're going to talk about having Dave Knowles on to talk to him. And Rob's absolutely right. You're never going to find a guy who is more pleased and more excited about what he's doing. I've never met with anybody who is just like so happy to be doing what he's doing and truly believes in the product he's putting out there. It is really cool to see and work with folks like this. So, all right. So, we are going to be kind of bouncing between two terms here a lot today, right? We're going to be using the term TopBuilder and Contractor BI. And one is the company name, right? But also a really powerful construction CRM system, right? That's TopBuilder. And the other, Contractor BI, is a construction-based business intelligence system. And that's what I really want to focus on for today's show, right? So I tell you what, I'm going to let Rob tell us the difference, right, and what we need to know about each of those today, right? So Rob, let's start with TopBuilder itself, right? What can you tell us about who you guys are kind of as a company?
Okay. To sum it up, I said it earlier, we're all about customer success. We've been in business for 17 years, and we started with the construction-focused CRM, as you mentioned. And over time, it evolves, because originally when people were using CRMs, the old stuff that was out there, like Maximizer and a Goldmine, those types of things, really a CRM was just an address book that you could put some notes in. And over time that evolved. And the good thing about having something that's construction focused is we really can be about winning the jobs. And so an example of the evolution, well, more than just here's the information for the company. Now let's make it where we can connect through the email system. So everything that's happening in the CRM to gain the work, to bid on those jobs, is being sent out to people's emails in our company. Now let's make sure that goes on their calendar so none of those bids fall through the cracks. And all the information that's going back and forth is nice and tidy in the right places so it's findable. And then why don't we make it to where we can do auto emails? So that we've already got all the people, all the contacts in our CRM. Why don't we make it to where we can send emails out, like an email blast, if you will, to tout our successes? So we can, basically, our marketing people can use it to keep marketing our product or our services. And then, of course, the ability evolves to, why can't we produce proposals and quotes straight from the CRM, since all the data already resides there, right? So let's do that. Great idea. And again, we keep moving forward. Technologies like being able to have integrations with the wonderful tools that are out there that we both, Zentech and TopBuilder, use, like the project management, like Procore, for instance, being able to integrate, bring that information in, use it to make the quotes and the proposals, making sure that there's no redoing of data entry, so we're not entering it 2 and 3 and 4 times, but it's all in one place, one data location. And then, what about accounting? Hey, that's a great idea. Sage, Spectrum, let's make it to where that information can come in as well. Now, when we're doing our proposals, we've got the data. We know who's paying us late. Our contracts say 30 days, 45 days, but this customer seems to always end up past 90. Well, maybe we tack a 1.2 multiplier on there, but I don't know that if the information's not there. But with TopBuilder and our integrations, it's there. And then one of those things that really helps things balloon and companies grow is, how about us connecting to the bid invitation solutions like Building Connected, Construct Connect, etc., so that information automatically comes into TopBuilder. No need for inputting it manually, and then we can make go no go decisions in order to go after those bids quickly. And then finally, where we are currently is now business intelligence. How about making some decisions today based on current information that can help us get to where we want to be even quicker? And going back a little bit to us focusing on customer success, why don't we add this in? Why don't we have live daily training so people don't have to pay for it all the time? Live daily training that people can come in and get all the juice from this orange that we call TopBuilder and Contractor BI.
Yeah. So it doesn't do much. Just 1 or 2 things. It really is, guys. It's an absolutely amazing system, and I think there are just far too many folks out there in the construction world who do not use a CRM at any level. And I think for the reasons Rob said, right? For a long time, years ago, Rocco and I used Goldmine, and it's great for sales, and that's how people think of a CRM. And TopBuilder just takes it. It's a beautiful, beautiful product that everybody should be looking into. But for today's show, what I'm really want to get into, right? The regular listeners, right? You guys who are out there every week, who listen to the podcast, I'm an absolute fiend, right, for the capabilities of data analytics and business intelligence in the construction world, right? There's so much data that we all, handle and work with on a daily basis, right? And so many different systems and files and databases and processes that are going on across every one of our jobs, that trying to manage that data and assemble it into any kind of a reasonable presentation or understandable format can take days, sometimes even weeks, right? And we have shifted a really big portion of our business here at Zentech over the last few years towards helping our clients, in the construction world develop better ways of controlling all that information, right? And that's where Contractor BI really comes into the picture. So, Rob, what challenges in the construction industry kind of inspired you guys to create Contractor BI?
Oh, that's a great question. The fact that we do get to talk to our clients a lot, just for calling up to see how things are going, we get to hear a lot of pain points that they have. And I'll give you just a quick example. So Contractor BI, it started by us listening to the clients, but then them telling us the pains. Like, for instance, how difficult it was I'm thinking of one person in particular, how difficult it was for them to produce reports, even though they knew the data was there, or knowing if they have the available labor based on the WIP and the sales forecast, or even being able to see mid-project if the revenue goals for that project are on track. We would hear things like this constantly. And then, of course, we also talk to the industry leaders like NECA, the National Electrical Contractors Association, AGC, ABC, and the leaders from those organizations. They kind of confirmed what our customers were telling us. And it was really great going to the Procore Groundbreak, because Groundbreak was all about data and all about how it can improve. So it was good to see the industry kind of come into its own and starting to adopt this. And if I may, I heard a great analogy that someone gave, and they said, construction is kind of a company, is like a three-legged stool. So there's the get work side, which is kind of where the CRM comes from. You've got the bidding and all of it goes into getting the work. Then there's the do work side, which is kind of where Procore comes in, so that everything can be built in the beautiful designs and buildings that happens there. And then there's kind of the other leg is the watch work side. So that's where Sage and Spectrum come in, and they follow the inflow and outflow of the revenue. So they're kind of the watch work side of things. And then the seat of the company is the management, kind of keeping everything going. And then the joinery, those little pieces that make the stool stronger, that's the data. Yeah. And how all of that interconnects with itself makes for a very strong place to put your seat.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? Sit on a stool that doesn't have the connectors holding those legs together. I don't care how good those legs are. Yeah, especially if you're a man my size. That stool's not going to hold up. Listen, half the time, even with the stuff, my stools don't hold up. But that's a personal thing, and more exercise and less beer. So. All right, I will say, folks, what drew me personally to Contractor BI was the way that it's natively built to kind of handle graphic presentation of really complex data from a lot of different sources, and that's really important, right? So because up until now, right, we've all worked with clients developing, analytic reports, using just the data from a construction management system like Procore, or Construction Cloud, right? And we would build Power BI based dashboards and reports for those specific systems. And that's a heavy manual process, and it requires a lot of effort to build reports, separate reports for every data source that you're using, right? And Contractor BI, it comes with, first of all, just a ton of very useful reports right out of the box. And it connects very, very simply to multiple data sources, right? So that you can pull data from your construction management system and your accounting system and a CRM and, just about any other data source that you guys are working with or have. And that to me is huge. So, Rocco, what's been the response, to showing clients demos of Contractor BI and what it can do for their business?
Yes, I'm going to give a short response because I don't know if my microphone is still
yeah, it's still funky.
Giving you guys trouble, but we're new here as partners with TopBuilder, but we've got a lot of conversations going on. There's definitely a need to pull all that data together, and Contractor BI is the way to do it. So we're excited.
All right, that's a quick response for a bad mic. I'll take it today. So Rob, can you kind of walk us through just one real world example, right, of how a client used Contractor BI to kind of improve their business?
So, top of mind, I have two, and they're kind of real quick. If I do two?
Surely, go to it.
Oh, okay. Well, we had one customer, and if I said the name of the customer, everyone listening would know who they are. They asked us just out of the blue, I need a go-get number. And we were like, what does that mean? So as she explained it further, what they wanted to be able to see the current work in progress, and to be able to see the work that was in the pipeline, the sales pipeline, things that were in bid, and to know if their labor requirements were going to be met, like were they going to have too much labor and not enough work, or vice versa. And so what she wanted real simply was to be able to look at that forecast of what's in there, what is coming, and to be able to say, I need to tell my people, if we're short, I need you to go get this number. We need to get this revenue. So I love the simplicity of it. So she now has, because of Contractor BI, her go-get number at the touch of a button.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and then another one that comes to mind, and now this one we hear a lot. This is probably the one I hear most, has to do with how hard reports are to get, so that to be presented for a meeting. So this real world, this is what we were told. She said, I have to call the managers. They know it's coming, and I ask them for the data because I've got to make a presentation every quarter. And then I have to go remind those managers to send the data, sometimes more than once. And then finally, I get the data, and by the time I get it, it's out of date. But at least I've got it, and then I put it together in a usable presentation, so maybe a slide or a dashboard. And this whole process, she said, takes probably 4 weeks, sometimes longer.
Oof.
And now with Contractor BI, because all of that information is just right there at the touch of a button, she clicks it, it comes up, she can export that into whatever format that she wants. Usually I don't know how, I won't try to say how she does it, but she just exports it right into it, puts it in her slide presentation, done. She does it in a day. Well, actually less than a day, but and she loves it.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing to me that, the real-time connectivity and the ability to see that real-time data coming from 30, 40 different locations and people, and just it's there. You don't even have to go search for it. It's crazy. All right, I tell you what, folks, let's take a quick break to get a word in from today's sponsor. And when we get back, I want to talk with Rob about how people, get a little more into how people are using Contractor BI in the real world today. All right, so stand by, folks. We'll be back in just a minute with more of the Cattle Call Podcast. Hey guys, it's Jim and Rocco from Zentech Consultants, and we want to talk to you guys about our managed contact or construction technology services that we offer here at Zentech. Look, we're all working with a million different software systems. We're all trying to integrate them and get them to communicate and collaborate and work together. And you know what? The answer isn't always more software. That usually just brings more headaches. What we try to do is work with you as your managed construction technology service provider to help you integrate and develop all the software systems and workflow processes that you need using the software that you already have. We can help you guys with your project management, estimating, ERP systems, just about any workflow that you have to help it all work together and get your folks working the way you need them to. So let's start that conversation. So Rocco, how do people reach out to us and get the ball rolling with our contact services?
Yeah, hit up our website, zentechconsultants.net. If you go under the services section, you'll be able to see those services listed there. You can always give us a call, 866-824-4459, or drop us an email, sales@zentechconsultants.net.
There you go. All the construction technology management help that you need but have not been able to find or afford is just a single phone call away with Managed Contact Services by Zentech Consultants. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Cattle Call Podcast. We're talking with Rob Herrington of TopBuilder about Contractor BI and how its business and data intelligence is really changing the way that senior construction management, right? Those high-end C-suite guys, how they're addressing and controlling all the information challenges that come with running construction jobs. And in this half, I'd like to talk about kind of the practical application of Contractor BI and the impact it's having on actual customers in the construction space. So Rob, let's start with that, right? How does a business intelligence tool like Contractor BI, how does that fit into the construction process and help construction companies to reach their goals?
When you've got a BI, so what you're saying is business intelligence is going to pull from a repository. That's all of your data that you hope to convert to information that you can then do actions from. You're talking history, the present, and the future. So I've got obviously the history, but there's at the other end of the scale, there's a forecast that's got to be done. And those need to be as close as accurate as possible so that the revenue goals are hit, the labor goals, if there are investors involved, they're satisfied, et cetera, right? Yep. So one of the first things that happens or that we find useful, management always wants a scorecard or two or three, but there are certain things that managers always want to see. They want to see a revenue summary because there's going to have to be actions taken if our revenue is falling behind. We need to know what areas we need to start asking the right questions if our revenue's behind. Is it a people issue, a training issue, a service issue, a product? We've got to find things before they become problems. And that's what a Contractor BI does. It helps people look at that past, present, and future to discover those areas that are doing well and the ones that aren't doing well, so we can do our due diligence to then mitigate that problem. So you'll see managers use these sorts of things all the time, measuring where we are to our KPIs. Or does it look like we're going to hit it? Another one, and part of that, and this is not necessarily the C-suite, but on a different level, you'll have the people asking about the forecasts, like as far as, say, revenue, getting more specific with labor, etc. Do we have the right amount of labor based on what we have for revenue forecasted, or not revenue, but we have forecasted for the amount of jobs coming in? Do we need to get in front of the curve and start hiring people? Or conversely, do we not have enough work for the people that we have? What do we need to do to start getting more sales?
Yeah.
And another one that you will also find a lot is during that sales cycle, there's always a bid count, right? There's the ability to put everything on one dashboard, so I can see all of my bids and I could know where the bids are in the process. Am I in estimating still? Have I given, is estimating done with it, and now someone needs to have a second set of eyes to okay it so that I can make it a bid and then send it out? So keeping people on the same page, that nothing falling through the cracks idea, so that we don't miss sales simply because we weren't paying attention. Contractor BI solves that problem. And then also being able to use it to look at workforce productivity. That's another one, is we being as capable on the job? Are we getting all that we need from our our people in the field? You never get all you need from your salespeople, right?
Nope. But all these sales guys always focused on themselves.
Sorry, it's a bad habit. But the guys in the field, are we getting everything out of them? Are we maximizing their time while they're out there? And again, going back to the performance issue, being able to see. So, for instance, if I've got an integration, say with Procore, often Procore or even Sage or Spectrum, it's a black box to us. We don't really see what's going on. We know we're using it, but there's no way to, at a high level, have visibility down into what's occurring. Right. And we see a lot of people, for instance, with Contractor BI, we have a dashboard that looks straight into Procore and what's happening. We can see all the new bids that are coming in and all the projects that are going on, estimates, the whole shebang. And then we can make decisions if need to. We can change course if need to. So, yeah, past, present, and future, being able to make decisions off of that, it's awesome.
Yeah. And I could not agree more. I mean, look, at the end of the day, right, profitability, it's all about better decision making, right? And construction executives, they need to, set bids, like you were saying, based on your current versus previous costs, right? And they got to, try to eliminate or at least address, right, scheduling issues that we learned from previous jobs, and to see which PMs are the most reliable and, which sub is, currently holding too much or too little work, right? Like Rob was saying, right? You need to understand sales and revenue streams and workforce planning and KPIs. And it needs to happen not just on one job, right? It has to happen across the entire array of your projects, right? Maybe even you need that information for every single job you've ever done in the past for the last 50 years so that where should we be dedicating the time and the effort and the budgets. And man, that is it's an incredibly complex decision tree. And people have struggled with trying to control it in the construction space in a reasonable way for literally at this centuries. We've been fighting with this. So Rob, how does Contractor BI help construction companies make these better, faster decisions from all of this different data?
If you think of data as, forgive my clumsy analogy, but it's water, right? And if I just put it somewhere, like it's in a repository, it's like water on a table. It has no shape. It's not doing or accomplishing anything. But if I form this, what was water across a broad area, and I channel it and focus it like a river of information, I can now accomplish things like using a river for a hydro dam, right? Mm-hmm. So I can create electricity. Contractor BI does that. It takes that data that is so spread, and it lets companies channel it to be able to do things that they otherwise couldn't do. Here's an easy example. We have a dashboard, for instance. You mentioned individual jobs. We have a dashboard that actually looks at individual jobs. So I can look at every cost code in a job if I want and see, as the field pops up red, where I'm losing money. And what that does then for the future, it lets me make my estimates better. It lets me get closer to what I need to be when I'm doing the bids. It also, because it's real time, it lets me pivot quickly when things start going not exactly to plan, because I don't find out a week from now, I find out today, so that I'm not down the road and now I'm in a hole. Whereas if I would have caught it sooner, I would have mitigated the problem and everything would have been better. So, and the fact that it's real time today data lets those decisions be made faster because I can make them now. And it also makes them better because all of the information is current and it's accurate because it's coming from our platforms. It's coming from the CRM, from, say, Procore. I'm just going to use them as an example, from Sage, all of that together.
Yeah. And it's amazing. And one of the things, just to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, Rob, that I love about this is, when you've got that information real time, you can make adjustments if things are over allocated or you got some budget somewhere else and you need to shift money from one trade to another trade to cover an unexpected. You can do that not 3-4 weeks out when people have already been paid and there's, oh wait, we got to back charge it. You do it today. Shift the numbers. You've always got that little bit of extra in your job that you can play with, right? It's better to do that today and adjust those forecasts and everything in real time. And that the only effective way I've seen that work is with Contractor BI. So Rocco, let's wake you up over there. And hopefully we fixed his microphone during the break, folks. So this will sound good. We hope. So Rocco, what appeals most to the clients you talk to with Contractor BI? Do they respond to the simple graphic interfaces from the dashboards, or is it the ability to pull their data from like a dozen different sources and combine it all into one display?
Yeah, it's really both from my perspective in the conversations that I'm having. I think about how the evolution of technology within construction over the past few years alone. And Jim, we talk to people all the time, right, who are still struggling to even use what's at their fingertips.
Oh, yeah.
And they're definitely making progress, but construction is a lagger in terms of adopting technology. So you couple that with the fact that they've been so busy and they're still trying to learn the software, they don't have all the data together. So I really liked Rob's analogy about with water. I mean, the Contractor BI really helps to bring this all together, particularly for the people who really need to make quick decisions and have accurate data. That data is power, right? And with the changes that are going on, not only in construction but throughout the country right now, having this information is critical.
Yeah. And I mean, I agree with that 100%. I mean, and I'll say, one thing that we just see a ton of is that, people in the construction world very rarely work in just one environment or with one process. Just about every client that we see here at Zentech is working with, a construction management package, and they have a separate accounting system, and they have a couple of different scheduling packages that some people like to use, others hate. And then they have a few dozen Excel files. Oh, and then we've got 2 databases that we developed in-house to track some other stuff over the years. There's no one and done system out there that handles everything that we need to do. And I do not believe that there ever will be. And I love that Contractor BI lets us kind of tie all of those different systems together, right? But I have no doubt, because I know my listeners here, at least one person out there listening is thinking right now, well, if I already have all of those older systems working, why don't I just get the information from those systems? It's a fair question. I'm going to let Rob answer it. So, Rob, what sets Contractor BI apart from other business tools or spreadsheets, right, that a lot of contractors still use?
Contractor BI is built for construction. So if you're in the construction industry, it's built for you. And it kind of reminds me of whenever I'm signing on to a new product or something that I want to have online, and then I have to go, it says, read this, and then you hit accept. I never go read it, because when I look at it, it's just a forest. Where do I start? Well, that's what can happen with spreadsheets. That's what can happen with other tools, because whenever you put it, where do you start? How do you ask the right questions? How do you know what questions to ask? Well, because we're built for construction, we've had a lot of those questions already asked for us. So our out-of-the-box dashboards that we already have are already there. So you don't have to ask the question. You just look down and go, you know what? I do want to know what my revenue is going to be. What is my projected revenue for my pipeline, for instance, my sales, or my projected revenue combined for work already doing, work going to be doing, right? So that is how Contractor BI makes the difference. So giving that up-to-date information to allow the people using it to work at the speed of business, so that they're not staring at it and missing something because there was so much data. They missed a spot over here. They missed a column over here. They missed us. No, we want to make sure that everything that's pertinent to the decision, that's pertinent to solving the problem, is addressed. And that's what Contractor BI does. It makes sure that you don't miss the columns that are important. You don't miss the fields that are important. All of that information is exactly where you're supposed to be looking, with the solutions that you need to make your business grow and stay healthy.
Yeah, I like that. And I agree with what you said, right? Sometimes, particularly when you're looking at new software and new packages and new systems, it's so complex, and it's like, oh great, now I got to learn a whole new way. I got to import all this data. And the thing that I just adore about this system is that you can just let your people keep working with the platforms and systems that they already know. They don't have to learn anything new. We're going to take and accumulate that data into Contractor BI. And whether you're looking, if the out-of-the-box reports are working, that's awesome. And if you need custom stuff, it's really easy for us to just go in and say, tell me what you want to see. We'll make it look that way, and we'll build it all out for you to your specifications. I love that whole combination. All right. So I tell you what, I always like to have, guys like Rob on because they really do have their fingers on kind of the pulse of the construction industry as a whole. And I think it gives our listeners an opportunity to hear kind of, what are your competitors doing, right? And I'll be honest, it's great for Rocco and I to hear a bit more about, where should Zentech be focusing our clients' time and effort. So that's why we love having Rob here. So Rob, where do you see kind of the future of business intelligence heading for the construction companies, right? And how are you, with Contractor BI, how are you guys preparing for that?
Now that is the question of the day, right? At Procore, we heard that question: how and where's the future of business intelligence going? What I see, both from the industry, from talking to our customers, from going to the various conferences, is that business intelligence is going to continue to grow in the construction industry, and the companies that adopt it early will have a significant advantage over those who choose to adopt it later, and especially for those who don't utilize it at all. And so what are we doing to help get that, stay in front of the curve, as it were? Well, one, we keep developing, we keep listening to the customers so that we can find those other use cases. Another big thing that we're doing, we bring Zentex on. Zentek is the type of company that when you want to find even more ways to use Contractor BI, to use business intelligence to do what you need to do, Zentek and the like are going to be there to help you ask the right questions and formulate and interpret. You don't really have to interpret using Contractor BI because it's right there, but help you decide, well, what can I do with this information to make improvements? And so we continue to work on that aspect of it, listening to the client, et cetera. But one final thing I'll say is on the next big thing on the roadmap is our incorporation of AI. So we're going to be incorporating artificial intelligence as well. That's on the road. I mean, that's front and center on the roadmap, because one of the cool things about AI, it's not just asking about the questions. With AI, you'll be able to give it the problem, not ask it the question, and it will tell you what questions to ask or anticipate those questions and give you the answers, or a varied amount of answers, from which you can choose which ones make the most sense for your company at that time. So we're really head over heels in love with this thing called business intelligence, and then what AI is going to bring to it.
Yeah, I mean, those tied together is going to be completely game changing at a level I don't think we've ever seen before. When that all gets tied in, it's going to be staggering. So, all right, folks, as all of our regular listeners knows, I always close out by letting our guests tell us something about their topic that I was just, too stupid to add no, I should ask them. So I'm going to do that. So Rob, what else do you think that people should know about business intelligence as a whole and how your company is addressing it?
Now that's interesting, because you've asked all the right questions.
Hey,
Jim, I'll tell you,
I had some help getting them ready,
Well, if there's one thing that I do want to leave people with, though, was kind of that comment that I made regarding, if you don't adopt it, others will. And when they do, they will have a decided advantage. So my biggest recommendation is do your due diligence on what business intelligence can do. Talk to Zentek and let them help you. And I'm not even trying to sell Contractor BI. I'm simply saying our industry, our construction industry, needs to continue moving forward as we face more and more challenges, both from a political scale to an economic scale, to the personal growth that comes from investors that are getting into the industry. All of these things, these moving dynamics, they can be handled if we do it the right way. And the only way to do that is going to be using business intelligence to really stay, I keep using that term, stay in front of the curve.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Business intelligence, it's been the holy grail. Right? And we're finally hitting the point where we can actually use it. I mean, that's like I said, we're gonna start off the show. That's what drew me to Contractor BI, and it's my preferred arena. I just staggers me how amazing all of this can be. So cool. All right, so I guess with that, we're going to let all of our listeners get back to their busy days. But I do want to take a minute just to thank Rob one more time for being on the show, man. It was a great interview, and it was really a pleasure having you on, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Jim, and I really enjoyed it too, man. Next time we'll have to talk about our cuisine.
There you go. Rob's from Louisiana, so he has some different cuisine than Rocco and I are used to up here in Jersey. We were talking about that before the show, and we're going to get into that the next time he's on. All right, folks, we're going to get out of here, and we'll catch you next time on the Cattle Call Podcast. All right, everybody, today's Cattle Call was brought to you courtesy of Zentech Consultants. That's Rocco and I. Zentech Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. Zentech strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to Zentech?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentechconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentechconsultants.net, or you can even call us 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from y'all.